Alright, we're at Rivercove Residences. The upcoming EC that's going to hit is MOP date. Everybody's very excited about it because this is a kilometer to 5 primary school, and of course that includes the very sought after Nan Chiau Primary School. We're going to have a home tour of this 4-bedder, 1216 square feet. Now 4-bedders are extremely rare. 7 stacks out of the 10 towers here, 628 units, Rivercove Residences. The lease date started from 2016. Of course, this is an executive condominium status. We'll need to hit the 5 years MOP mark after it TOPs. When it TOP back in the year 2020, this is the year 2025, we're gonna hit the status in October very soon. Now have a look at the layout, a triangle hosting format. Now this kind of layout is not easily found in a lot of 4-bedders within the OCR region. The key rationale is because most developers, they like to build either a longish layout whereby you enter from the foyer towards the dining, living and the balcony, and the kitchen is all tucked on one side together with the yard as well as the utility room if there is one. The other layout will be the wide angle layout whereby you have your foyer entry and then you have like a living dining, but at the same time the kitchen is still tucked towards one side of the layout plan. You're going to see this triangular format whereby the kitchen is linked back to the balcony. Now this is extremely useful because you get to tuck your services area into one corner, and we call it the ancillary services zone. So when you enter back home, all your services area are tucked in this direction. You get to see your ancillary services area, and this is where you do your laundry. So you have your own yard ventilation window, and of course that's where your AC ledge is being located. You have your own utility room, you have a WC bath over here. So if you want to find this kind of layout, why is it rare? Because out of 7 stacks in Rivercove Residences, there are 4-bedders. Out of 628 units, there are 3-bedder, 4-bedder and 5-bedders here. One of the good things about ECs is that there's no 1 and 2-bedder most of the time, and developers, they usually cater to the needs of families that want to have more bedrooms. That's why they only design 3, 4, 5-bedders over here. And 4-bedders, there's only 110 odd units because the predominant percentage belongs to the 3-bedders here with about 480 plus units. So out of 628, only 110 odd units are 4-bedders, 7 stacks, 2 stacks have this layout. And we are at this stack that's predominantly facing towards north. This is stack number 11. And of course, this is the view that you can see towards the unblocked version of the left-hand side. Later we'll talk more about the view as well as the future potential. So back to the triangular layout that I was talking about in terms of the hosting zone. So layout is very rectangular. I'm talking about this triangle format whereby you can be in your kitchen preparing your meals. Your kids are in the living area. Dining area is visible as well. Of course, if you do heavy cooking, you can close up this sliding panel door. But if you look at the entire layout, superbly nice rectangular setting, but the hosting is fantastic. So I get to have that interactive mode with my guests. If I host people, I don't have to be alone in the kitchen preparing meals, and everything is very nicely done over here. So this is one of the beauty because it links back to the balcony. It creates like an additional ventilation for your entire kitchen zone, and kitchen is spacious. I have a lot of walking space over here. If I were to flip over, I love this space because it's nicely tucked with a huge space for your fridge, and of course a tall cabinetry system for every need that you need in your kitchen. And then once we come to the living area, this is the view that you get, your living, dining, kitchen. So if you want to remove this glass panel, make it like a nice open concept, you can do it as well. You want to extend here a little bit, basically to have like a peninsula island and a bigger version. You can also break down this entire wall, make it into like a combined peninsula. But most importantly is that you have these 3 white panels that you can also open up, and just gives you a very nice feeling, nice and white, that you can utilize this as an additional dining area. I love the fact that balcony is being sheltered, fully Ziptrak by our clients, and then when you sit here, you have this very nice view. If I were to remodify and put my sofa over here facing towards the television, dining there, and then this gives you a very nice wide view. So this is a fantastic layout. I think you should definitely kind of have a look at this. Now take note, Rivercove Residences existed in the previous kind of regulations whereby there was no PPVC requirement. So a lot of the walls here are hackable. Nowadays, if you were to go for a lot of GLS land plots, the walls are non-hackable because it's been constructed with the PPVC kind of technology. So this belongs to the version that allows you a lot of flexibility to hack down rooms. If you want to hack down this wall, that's doable as well. You want to expand your living area, that's doable. This was being renovated by our clients, and of course you can remove this entire partition back wall to have a super open dining and living zone. Now let's come back to the dining zone. You have the space up to 6-seater. There's already a sitting bench, and of course here you can put in like 3+1 head or table chair. Foyer zoned, fantastic as well. Cabinetry has already been done up. Importantly, let's talk about the locale. So this is located at Anchorvale. So we're located at the Sengkang portion here towards Seletar Mall, which is the Fernvale cluster. And Fernvale cluster is one of the newest clusters within the Sengkang zone. We're in District 19. 2 stops from the LRT station, which takes you about 5 minutes walk towards Sengkang MRT. If you were to head down, Seletar Mall is just within very close proximity. You have 5 primary school over here. When you buy this 4-bedder at 1216 square feet, and by the way, the asking price is 2.05 mil, which is below 1,007 PSF. It's about 1,006 plus per square foot. What's going to happen is that in future, your exit audience will have an additional audience that wants to buy this property. They need at least 4 bedrooms, and they want the kids to have a chance for 2C to enter into Nan Chiau. So even if let's say you have no kids and you want a big space for your own property, or let's say your kids are already grown up, but that's still fantastic because why? 5 years later, 10 years later, if you exit, you will still have an additional buyer audience that wants to buy a property because of proximity to school. So take note, when we talk about exit, it's always good to enlarge your exit audience. So if you buy a property with no parents attraction effect based on our PRB mode analysis, so we have 10-point factors, but parents attraction effect is one of the effects that anchors the pricing of a lot of properties. Let's say, for example, I compare property A and property B. Property A has no 1 kilometers to sought after schools, all right? But property B has within a kilometers range to a sought after school, even if let's say you're an investor, you're somebody with no children. If you were to buy property B, you have an enlarged pool of audience, and that is what we call the parents attraction effect. And most families, they will hold to their properties, or they will only sell once their kids grow up. So in terms of holding power, it's going to be even stronger as well. Right now, you're having unblocked view here. Now, in future, take note, there's a possibility that because this is already earmarked for a residential plot, so in future, if this is being zoned residential already, and there's some future potential for maybe an additional condo or maybe an additional HDB, but that's all good and fine because most importantly, based on the trending, if you look across at Fernvale, you have H2O residences, you have Riverbank, you have large acres on the other side. But most importantly, it seems that anything that's facing towards the river, it might possibly be a private property. But of course, if it's a HDB apartment, that's totally fine because any form of kind of future development, it always helps the existing property that has already been done. So we call this the catalyst effect. So let's say, for example, there's a new GIS land plot and it happens to be, let's say, an EC or private condo. What's going to happen is that, let's say, for example, land bid price is a certain X price, and looking at the launch price of all OCR condos now, there's nothing by the end of this year that will be below $2,000 PSF. All right, so now OCR, if you look at the latest spring leaf in D26, Canberra as well. Canberra is already at about 2,000, 1,009, 2,000. Spring leaf is between 2,000 and 2,250 PSF. By next year, I believe most OCR condos, based on their launch price, will be 2,250 to 2,500 PSF. So let's say this is going to be launched, and let's say it averages at about 2,300 PSF. About 4 years later, when it TOPs and when people want to sell, they're going to sell about 2,006 PSF. You entered this Rivercove Residences that just hit its MOP as an EC at less than 1,007. So in future, let's say if you want to sell at 1,008, 1,009 PSF, it's still definitely very possible and very palatable. But importantly, it's 4 bedders at 2.05 million, extremely palatable. So when we compare with some of the 3+ studies within the entire D19, as well as the other 4 bedders, this falls in the zone whereby you get to enjoy something that has just newly MOP, you get a newness effect, and at the same time, renovation is only about 5 years old. The condition is really superb. You have one common bathroom here. Bathroom condition, spick and span. Cabinetry behind the 2 mirrors over here. And when you look at tiles, I think it's maintained very well. A total of 4 bedrooms. This is the first bedroom. Currently, it's a kid's room. As you can see, single bed here. But if I were to modify it back, definitely a queen bed can be at this bed head zone. Full panel windows, 2 panel, sliding wardrobe. Ceiling height pretty decent. Daikin aircon. Of course, there's also done up this nice panel wall over here to give it like a more kind of country style effect. So fantastic room as a guest bedroom. And then you have another room here. Apparently it's a kid's baby room. And of course, you can still plonk in your bed head at this direction, facing towards the back. Now, one thing about Rivercove is that there are 628 units and 628 parking lots. The whole project is elevated upwards in terms of facilities. Facilities, you have 5 zones here, including like a kids zone, you have recreation zone, superbly nice 50 meters and wide swimming lap pool. There's a tennis court as well in this EC development. So this is the second bedroom, and then as we walk in, our clients, they have sort of shifted the door outwards. You have this flexibility actually to shift your door outwards, combine this third bedroom into your master room. That's a total of 4 bedrooms. This is the third common room. So they have sort of like shifted hours. If you want to shift it back here to the original door, that's possible as well. Just need to do some modification. Having this combination, you can make this into like your kids' baby room. You can do what our clients have did as well. This is really for resting with a king bed. And then over here is like their study as well. If not, you can flip over, put back the bed here in this zone, and then your study room can be in that room. Definitely when you look at the entire layout, there's no modification to the walls except this door being pushed outwards. So very easy to reinstate back if you want to have the original floor plan. So this is a master bathroom. So I love the fact that all the bathroom has ventilation windows, so very good. You don't have that moisture issue. You don't need to put in a dehumidifier. And of course, this is facing towards an unblocked view, towards Fernvale as well. So very windy. Maintenance fee surprisingly is low. It's only $200 for a 4-bedder. But most importantly is that when I analyze the floor plans out of the 7 stacks of 4-bedders, there's only 3 types of floor plan. The first type is a more narrow layout. Second type is a wide angle layout. But this type that we are standing in, the 1216 version, I love the fact that you don't even have to hack down your kitchen basically to have like an open concept with your living, because it's already done. So let's go back and have a look at this. I was talking about the fact that OCR launches now is already about $2,000 over. PSF, we always want to forward look in about 4 years time what's going to happen. Let's say for example, you invested in a property here at $2.05 million. 4 years later or 5 years later, let's say you want to exit, what could possibly be the price to exit? Of course, when we compare resale properties versus new launch property, we try to look at the psychology of pricing movement. Now on average, if OCR, a brand new launch, is averaging at about $2.5 to $2.8 million for 4-bedder, then over here, if you enter at 2.05, then naturally we want to go in at a level thinking about a safety net. So for example, if I forecast 4 years later, if I were to exit about $2.35 million or $2.45 million, is that too bullish, right? Because I need to see other new launches when they are entering at 2.5 to 2.8, how much will they exit in 4 years time? Likely, if somebody entered at 2.5 to 2.8, they will need to exit at least 2.8 to about $3.2 million. So if I were to exit at 2.35 or 2.45, as long as my gap is still quite a distance away from the new launch buyer's exit price during their TOP, then it should be quite sufficient. So as long as we maintain quite a healthy gap, perhaps about 400,000 to 500,000 gap, then I think the new launch catalyst can pull up the rest of the resale in accordance. The second factor we want to look at is lease decay. So this property right now is about 9 years old. You have balance of about 90 years. When you look at the Bala's curve, the 2 key points to take note will be the 60-year balance mark as well as the 30 years balance mark. Anything before that, as long as you have about 80 over years, 90 over years or 70 over years, pretty safe. But the moment you touch 60, then you have to take note what is your next move, because your buyer audience will start to shrink. Most of the time, older properties attract buyers that are in their winter season because they are going towards retirement mode. They don't mind paying a lower quantum for older property, but usually couples that are in their summer or autumn season, the most aggressive investment mode, they're hunting for properties with 70 plus, 80 plus, 90 plus years. Now, D19 has always been one of the enclave or district with a lot of exciting things that is coming up, because D19 comprised of a very big enclave, but this zone is pretty exciting. Why? You have the Punggol Digital District. Sengkang is almost fully matured, it has its own hospital, sports hub. Buangkok with the mixed development, very exciting as well. Punggol now is like flourishing with a lot of things happening at the digital district because you're all linked by the MRT station. Now for those of you who don't drive, the shuttle bus fetches you daily and your family daily to Sengkang MRT station, so that's more or less, so that's settled. Of course, if you drive, the accessibility is fantastic because you have that new highway towards Sengkang West that you can cut immediately towards TPE SLE. And importantly, I think a lot of people love D19 now because of the entire park connector that allows you to cycle, jog. Alright, so if you want to have a look at this place, give a call to Sean and Alan. We'll be very happy to arrange an appointment for you to have a viewing. And once again, do stay tuned on our PropertyLimBrothers channel for future home tours. My name is Melvin Lim, PropertyLimBrothers, as always, happy to show you.
Can't find a time where I can tell ya what I feel now. Been biting my tongue for a while. Words just wanna come out.
准备好了。
Afraid to be rejected. It's so expected. I feel like I'm out of my mind, but I know I can't.
Like a buyer, I'll ask this.